You were doing so well. And yet here I am again, the old stick in the mud, to talk you out of making an irresponsible financial decision, getting swept up in the FOMO and the marketing, and buying something that you probably don't need. If you're new to the channel, my name is Chris George, and this is the 5 reasons you shouldn't back Oathsworn. And I don't do these videos to be mean. This is a series that I have been doing for a long time now, where whenever a campaign reaches over $1 million on Kickstarter or GameFound or wherever, I put out a video trying to test your excitement. Artie says, don't do it. You can be right in the middle. No one's gonna listen to me when you're right there. Yes, like the evil board game villain I am here to stop you from getting yourself a little treat. No toys for you. But, this is gonna be my best video yet. But I think with these sorts of campaigns, and the real reason why I do these, and for campaigns that have raised over $1 million so that I'm not picking on the little guy, it's because these campaigns are often associated with a sense of FOMO, or fear of missing out. And often the excitement of the campaign itself can be so overwhelming that you're backing it based around that excitement, and then that excitement fades when you get the game a year and a half later. And it ends up sitting on the shelf for a while, and we don't want that. We want to be able to be excited when the game arrives at our door, as excited as we are right now and pushing back. And so hopefully this video serves to exist as a sort of test of that excitement. And there are a lot of reasons to be excited, and I like talking about them so that I'm not just a mean, garbage villain. No, you want me to stay with the villainy? I'll stay with the villainy. Come back. That's not good for framing up there. Whew, I can finally cast off my villainous ways. And you can all leave the video, I understand. But there is a lot to be excited about this campaign. Oathsworn is a game that has been really highly reviewed. That is what they're pushing forward. They're saying it's the best reviewed game on Board Game Geek at a 9.3, and even the fact that it was able to attain such a significant rating, not necessarily shooting to #1 on Board Game Geek because of their specific rating system, but through users rating it, that feels fairly exciting and fairly relevant, and it's nice to go into something knowing that other people have been enjoying it. Just like my favorite review from Danny Mulgrew, who says, ISS Vanguard, 10 out of 10. As you can see, people are really enjoying Oathsworn. What a lovely, insightful comment. But the promise of this large, big box dungeon crawler with minis that are bigger. They're automatically bigger than 32 millimeters. They're 43 millimeters to give you this big epic experience that has been making the rounds, at least in YouTube, in the past month or so with their marketing push for this Kickstarter campaign. It's easy to get sucked into that, and I am surprisingly sucked into it. It's already at 12,000 backers. It has already surpassed its backer count from the previous campaign. It's at $1.8 million as of the filming of this video, and probably will stay around that bar for a long time because, you know, everyone's missed the early bird by now. But almost $2 million in the first 3 days? That's incredible. Plus, there's a lot to like about the gameplay as well. I like that the characters come with a little complexity rating on them, so that will help bring potentially new people into this epic journey that you're going to get. Most campaigns offer only 40 hours of gameplay, and this one offers you 65 hours of gameplay over 21 chapters, which is increased from their previous campaign page, which only said 45 hours. It feels like they've added more. It feels like they've been able to take the time, the 2 years since it has been launched and funded and gotten into people's hands, although not necessarily been in people's hands for 2 years because of the process of delivering things. It's always fun and exciting to me to see a company reprinting with such success and knowing that they've also learned from their mistakes and including these update packs and including update packs for backers or incorporating those updates into the core experience. That's cool. The art style is great, and the promise of getting a whole whack of stuff is always going to titillate me. And so I see why people are swept up in the excitement. Even me, who really makes these videos to talk myself down off of a ledge, and you're really just all along for the ride, or to throw eggs at me, or to lure me further into temptation. I'm pulled in. I'm unwittingly pulled in to this system. Or rather, not to the system, but to the campaign page. And I think that's important, and that is where we're going to start off the 5 reasons you shouldn't back right away, because I think this is a campaign page that is doing everything right to pull you in, and I don't think that is actually in service to the game itself. It might be, but I think a lot of people will be pulled in by extraneous factors and not by actual gameplay, which for me is always at the forefront and which we will talk about throughout these reasons. But reason number 5 you shouldn't back is if you're in it for the mystery box. And this was the first reason I came up with for this game, and I knew immediately this was going to be the reason, because when I looked at the campaign page and I saw a big old mystery box that I could get for free in the first 24 hours, I thought, ooh, a mystery. But that box looks mighty big. I probably will want it desperately. That's the thing that initially drew me into the campaign page. It wasn't the game itself. It's the reviews of Oathsworn. It's knowing that it is generally a well-received game, and it's knowing that I'm gonna get something secret and special for free. Sign me up. And a lot of campaigns do this. A lot of campaigns put these early birds out there in order to encourage people pledge right at the beginning. And some of those pledges will drop off, but more often than not, I feel like this early bird pledge to also help it push itself to the top of Kickstarter charts so it can say funded in 2 minutes, broke 1 million in 24 hours. I really think this did break 1 million in about 24 hours. To have these bars of funding, of people throwing money at it, hand over fist, they often include these early bird incentives because it gets people to pledge right away, and there's always the thought of, well, if I decide later on down the line, I can pass it up. Or there's the incentive of, well, I can't purchase this thing for the regular price because I will be missing out on this thing. It is literally the fear of missing out, the fear of missing out on those $15. And that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna cost $15 to get this mystery box if you did not pledge in the first 24 hours. Or you can get it for free if you pledge in the all-in, because then we'll throw it in for free. If you pledge for the $375 all in, well, hey, you can save $15. That's a deal. Who cares you get a bunch of terrain add-ons that you'll never use? Who cares you get a bunch of sleeves when you don't sleeve your cards? You save 15 bucks, and honestly, you should be rewarded for that. It's ludicrous. $15 is the cheapest sunk cost fallacy that I've ever seen, and yet I can feel it preying upon me. I felt it during the 24 hours. And normally I look at the campaigns a little bit later because I have a Monday show where I take a look at everything that's leaving crowdfunding in the last week, so I can more fully evaluate if there are stretch goals, what are the values of those stretch goals, if it offsets the shipping, etc., etc. But I was there for the beginning because people have been talking about Oathsworn, and I felt the pull. I felt that pull of, yeah, maybe I should back right now and then think about canceling later on. And the fact that that pulls me in, Dr. FOMO MD from the University of American Samoa, the fact that I can feel that inside me makes me believe that I am not alone in that thought. There's so much pushing you to just spend all that money right away, or if you missed it, well then you have to go for the all-in, and I just know that is the wrong way to approach it. Hey, if you think this is going to be an amazing game and you're going to love it and get it off your shelf and it's going to be worth the money, then you absolutely should purchase it. But if you were drawn in by that mystery box, and really be honest with yourself, if that was a 50% of the draw to pulling that back that hasn't yet gone through on your credit card, have you gotten enough information to make that decision yet? Because chances are all you've done is signed up for free marketing from their Kickstarter page, free updates to get you more and more invested in this purchase that you haven't yet purchased, all for the low, low price of saving $15. Not to mention, as a side tangent, which is annoying to me, that you can't do group pledges with this one base pledge. They're only going to give you one free mystery box regardless of how many you order. So if you want to save on the ludicrous shipping, well, then you're still going to have to go all in for that so that everybody can get their own mystery box. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous. Now, reason number 4 you shouldn't back Oathsworn is if you're just in it for the mystery boxes, aka the 2 giant boxes of minis that are coming your way, or just for the mystery of unraveling these new creatures. And this isn't a new thing that Oathsworn is doing. I've seen it in a few campaigns They claim that they're the first people to do it. Sure, I haven't checked the veracity of that statement, but I understand the draw, and it is a big draw for me as well. There's something really fun about a mystery box. There's something really fun about an advent calendar. I've talked about these dice advent calendars or little game piece advent calendars on the Monday show, Crowdfunding Countdown, a few times, and I bring them up because I think, hey, yeah, I think people would be interested in this because there's something fun about opening a box and unveiling a secret and unveiling a surprise. And that's what you'll be doing in Oathsworn. As you go through these encounters, depending on if you get the core pledge, making you feel like that's the pledge you should get, or just the base pledge, which is the one with standees, you'll be opening up these boxes and pulling out these giant minis that you don't know. In fact, they're not even shown on the campaign page. I do like that there's a little link that you can click and you can see some of the minis, so you can see some of the creatures that you might be facing, but in order to save you and that ironclad memory of yours, a year and a half down the line, they're making sure that the mystery remains intact, that you don't remember what shape the mini is going to be when you pull it out, that you don't know that you're leading up to facing a giant rat, which is on the cover and I think is the first scenario that you can face. And the sense of these mystery boxes, I think they're very fun. I think they're absolutely fun in practice. I think it'll be really fun to pull out something and unveil it. But I think that fun is fleeting. I think that fun is momentary, and I think that sort of fun can be obtained through other cheaper means. But personally, that's a draw for me. That's something where I'm like, yeah, I really should consider getting Oathsworn because of this unveiling, because of the mystery. Some things with mystery and things with spoilers and not wanting to reveal spoilers often pull me in quite a bit, and I find that I'm so enraptured by the mystery that I don't consider the things that will be happening outside of that mystery and how much time they will actually take over the course of a gameplay session. So if you're just in it for the 2 giant boxes of minis that you can open up and pull out and say, wow, that was cool, I didn't see that coming, there's gotta be a way to have that sort of thrill without spending $225. I think the gameplay needs to be at the forefront here, and that leads us to reason number 3. You shouldn't back Oathsworn if you don't know anything about the gameplay yet. And I know there are a lot of reviews out there. I've watched a few, and in those reviews, I feel like sometimes that mystery aspect is propelled forward. That spoiler aspect is still held firm, and the gameplay itself is not focused on. And maybe that's the brunt of the experience. Maybe that is the purchase price, and that is what you should be getting. Great. But for me, I play games for the mechanics, for the actual meat and potatoes of the thing. Or at least I like to pretend that I do. I love theme just like the next person, but I want to make sure that there is a good game there. And I think Oathsworn looks fun. I really do. But if you currently don't know anything about the gameplay, I also believe that's by design. I believe that's by design of the campaign page, which is so concerned about telling you a specific story that it ignores gameplay entirely. I don't think that there should be any excuse for a game that is on its reprint to not have, and I beat this drum all the time, to not have the rule books anywhere on the campaign page. They just don't exist. And to top it off, even a gameplay section of the game barely exists on the campaign page. The story of the campaign page is this. You have a trailer, which after sitting through it for 2 minutes of ambiance, gives you some flashes of gameplay. This is good. I like this is at the very beginning and the top of the page, but that's basically all you get. The rest of the story of the campaign page is, wow, this is Oathsworn. Look at it. Reviewers love it. 9.3. Here's all the stuff you can get. Here's all the stuff you can buy. Here's more stuff you can buy in the all-in. Look at those high numbers. Look how cool this plastic looks. Wow. Well, look at this secret stuff. You can't see how cool that plastic looks, but it's going to look even cooler than the plastic we just showed you, we promise. But make sure to keep it a secret because this is a secret game. Now look at all this other stuff that you get. Ooh, isn't that a lot of stuff? Think about all the boxes you can get. Think about unpacking it. It's like your best Christmas ever, and not like that worst time when you opened up the box and there was only one tiny piece of toy at the bottom. Yes, we're referring to toys in increments of pieces of toy because it was half a toy and you got the other half when you were a good boy on Christmas. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience here. This is what the campaign page is giving me. Anyway, here's more stuff. Stuff. Now you can add on more stuff because you haven't spent enough money. Make sure you add on all this stuff. Here's some more stuff. Now here have some review videos to get you excited about the game that we really haven't showed you how to play. And then finally, there's a little gameplay section which we're gonna pretend to show you how to play, but really it'll just be a bunch of animated GIFs that show you the pieces moving around on the board, but don't actually explain how they work. Don't actually explain that you're seeing cards or dice and that you get to choose one or the other, which I didn't know existed until I read the rulebook. A rulebook where I had to go outside of Kickstarter to their website to find both their story rulebook and their encounter rulebook. No, these animated GIFs will just double down on the mystery and tell you all about the cinematic encounters that you're gonna have, but I'm not gonna tell you more about that. Just trust us, it'll be good. And then there's the shipping, which is outrageous. But hey, the all-in is 55 pounds. The base pledge is 29 pounds, so I understand the shipping prices. And so if you don't know how the game is played and you haven't yet read the rulebook, I don't blame you. I think there are so many people who are backing off the basis of everybody else says this is good. I don't need to know if it's going to be good for me. And wow, look at all this stuff. I am excited. And I think this campaign page perfectly represents that. But I think the rules are good. I wish they did showcase the rules because the rules resonate with me personally. I like the decisions that you're going to be making in the encounter phase. Basically, the game is going to be divided into two different phases, the story mode and the encounter mode. You'll have a story mode where you'll go through town and you'll get these little tokens indicating the choices that you've made. Why they couldn't just write those down on a piece of paper like Tainted Grail, I don't know. I guess so you can reuse the tokens on every story phase, probably. And then once you're done the story and you've had those decisions and you've gotten the repercussions or the rewards depending on what you've done and your pathway has branched off, then you're going to have this little encounter. And this will be a boss battle, whoever you've built up to or whichever direction you've made your way to. Maybe you didn't go that direction, didn't face this boss, and instead you now face a different boss. That also is an exciting element to me. And then in the encounter phase, it's going to work like a skirmish game. You're going to have a number of action points. These are represented by the little orange cubes that you will regenerate in your upkeep phase. And every action is going to cost you these points, a certain number of these points. And the big difference here, and I always like to talk about games in terms of their unique factor or the thing that makes them different or the thing that sets them a little bit apart. What sets this game apart is their battle flow system. So you'll have a hand of cards that will be unique to your own character and they'll have different abilities on them. And every time you play one, you'll have to pay the cost in the actions, and then you'll also put that card somewhere around your player board in slot 3, 2, 1, or 0, depending on the number of the card. And whenever you put the card down there, every other card that you've placed there moves one step closer, one number down, towards going back into your hand. It's sort of a cooldown counter that you can actively affect, which is neat. It's cool that I'm choosing, okay, I know I have my super ability in level 1 cooldown right now, and so I want to play a card that has a level 1 on it, so I can push it to 0 and get it back into my hand all that sooner so that I can use it again and keep that battle flow going. That's the overarching hand management game that you're going to be playing, and that sounds fun to me. I mean, hand management is probably my 127th favorite mechanic of all time if I were to, pick it out of thin air. I'm sure that is an accurate number, but I like hand management. I think I do that. That system feels fun. Those decisions feel fun, and how you're going to manipulate things. I like that you can take your turns in any order, so as long as everybody passes, you can take multiple turns in a row, and you can use those turns to set up your party and maybe buff them up, and then they can go in for the kill. And that works because you're all working with a set amount of action points that some will regenerate at the end of each round. Your action points are referred to as your animus, basically. Not your animagus, but your animus. And so this battle flow system is legitimately intriguing to me. It is. I now have to decide for me if it's worth $155 US because it's 125 plus, around 30 to 40 for shipping, and then convert that into Canadian because I live in Canada. But now I at least know what the flow of the game is going to be, and if that interests me enough to make that decision. if you're not operating with these sorts of informed decisions, and hey, if I'm the first person to tell you how this game plays, and you haven't learned it from any other means, then I would warrant that your excitement has been to such an extent that you bit before you bought. That's an expression, I swear it is. It's a Canadian thing. Um, you chewed before you slurped. No. And that might not be a reason to back Oathsworn. That was a large point. It was a large point because I wanted to talk about mechanics. I like talking about mechanics in these sorts of things because I find that is the most determinant factor when purchasing a game. But moving along to reason number 2, it's also based around the game, and you shouldn't purchase Oathsworn if you are not interested in that story mode experience. There's an option to skip the story phase. You can just do the encounter phases and you can ignore the story phase. And it says maybe you have a lighter game night planned. Maybe you don't have time to do both and you want to just do the encounter phase. Maybe you like the encounter phase better. You can skip the whole story phase and you can get like a recap and get a small decision-making space before you lead in, and that'll help tech up your people and level them up and whatever. But if you're planning on doing that, and if you're planning on ignoring this story phase, why are you purchasing this game? Why are you purchasing half a game when you're not interested in the other half? As far as a skirmish game goes, there are plenty of skirmish games out there that focus solely on the skirmish part and not on the story. I think Oathsworn, a big push for this game is that it is written by professional writers, that the narrative is a good narrative, that people are enjoying the narrative and enjoying that choose your own adventure portion of the story and enjoying experiencing that together or whoever you're playing with. And if you don't like sitting around and reading a bunch of text or listening to a bunch of text by the narration, the Game of Thrones guy who's doing the narration, then you shouldn't be contemplating this game. You just shouldn't. I think the story is an integral element to it, and I understand why they say you can skip it, but I also think if you skip it, you're doing a disservice to the game and you're doing a disservice to all of the creation and work that went into this game, and you're also getting a giant game that you're not going to enjoy to its full potential. You're paying a very expensive price to experience half a game, and honestly, not even the half that people are singing the praises about. The praises are for the narration. You don't see people saying, this is my favorite battle system I've ever seen. You say people saying, oh, I was engrossed by this narration. Those are the quotes that are being pulled out. And I think it is that world building and that narration that will really serve you. And if you're not interested in that, well, then that's reason number 2. Now, finally, moving on to reason number 1, you shouldn't back Oathsworn, is we're going to revert to an old standby, but we'll call it you don't have 65 plus hours in your life. Also known as you don't get campaign games to the table. Also known as you haven't finished Gloomhaven, or you have Frosthaven, or you just got Chronicles of Drunagor all in, arrived to your door, and you haven't cracked it open, but you're just sitting over it like Smaug the dragon. Sorry, I meant to say Barnacles of Dumbledore. I don't know what this Chronicles of Drunagor game is, nor am I ever interested in learning about it. But the fact is, this is a game that is going to take up a lot of your time, and I have made a rule for myself, and this is the number 1 reason why I am able to stay strong with Oathsworn, is that I am not backing any more campaign games. I'm not. It's a flat out no from me, dog. It's something that I can't do. It's something that I would love to have the time to table, but I need to be honest with myself that I do not have the time to devote to one single game that amount of time, and for one single game to monopolize my game nights over the course of many months, because that is what it will take. This is a game that is also not shy on time. The rule book itself, at the very beginning, it says, hey, listen, if you don't have enough time, it actually says if you have less than 3 hours for your first game, you should probably skip the story mode because the encounter phase is going to take you that long. And that is an enormous amount of time. 3 hours. 3 hours is a long game. 3 hours is an amount of time that I am comfortable putting into a game. But when every session is going to take that amount of time, especially with this giant box, potentially 3 giant boxes, where you're going to have to pull out all these extra tokens, these cards and dice that you'll choose one of to use, these extra dice to use for your health dials instead of just, health dials, or putting dials on the player sheet. This already, I don't want to say bloated, because I don't have any experience playing the game to know what's bloated and what's not. But when you get these gigantic boxes, they are looming on your shelf and they are a weight that will be waiting to get to be played, or at least they are for me. That is how I feel. That's how I feel about Aetherfields. That's how I feel about Gloomhaven, which I refuse to play with anyone else other than the one friend who gave it to me, because I want to enjoy it with him, but he also thinks it's too hard, so this is a perpetual battle. But these things will weigh on you in a sense. And I think you need to be really honest with yourself if you are turning over campaign games. And maybe that's your style of game. Maybe you love to get a big campaign game, you go through it, and then you move on to the next one, and that is what you end up backing. Then obviously this point is not for you, but this point is for the people like me who love the idea of campaign games, but never are able to execute on them. And I finally realized that I am not able to execute on campaign games, and that I need to take a firm and hard rule that no matter how cool the game looks, no matter how highly rated it is, if I am not playing other campaign games, what makes me think that this will usurp them and actually get to the table more than all of those other things that I also once was excited for? I won't beat this dead horse into the ground. I do it quite frequently, but this is your gentle check to say, hey, you spend too much money on campaign games that you don't play, especially all-ins that you haven't touched the expansion content, because the base game itself, not the core, but the base, is overwhelming enough. Anyway, that's it. I'll stop yammering your ear off. Thanks for sticking with me. Those are my 5 reasons why you shouldn't back Oathsworn, and please drop yours in the comments below, either reasons to back to convince me that I'm a stupid little idiot and I should just do this one because the battle flow system seems nice. No! Stay back, foul temptress! Yeah, convince me. I would love it, but I would hate it, but I would love it. Drop your comments down below, because I think it's always great to hear multiple points of view. I know there's lots of people who are really excited about Oathsworn, and it's easy to get swept up by other people's excitement, but just remember to make the right decision that is right for you. Don't listen to me, don't listen to them, don't listen to the reviewers. Listen to yourself, and listen to that nagging voice in the back of your head, and let it out for a little bit, and see if it, has some interesting things to say. But I also think down in the comments below, people always add really great comments and insight, and participating in that conversation means we can all be more informed buyers, and I think that's a really great thing. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you're new here. I really appreciate it, and it really is meaningful. It absolutely is. Even if you think I'm full of beans, well then just stay subscribed for a while, and then unsubscribe unsuspectingly, and you can really cause me grief. I've said that before. Anyway, that's it for me. I hope whatever your decision is, you are very excited to receive Oathsworn, or you realize that it is not for you, and you find something else that will be that level of excitement, because we are not wanting for very exciting Kickstarters, and there are going to always be more exciting board games coming down the line. So thanks for watching. Once again, my name's Chris George, and oh no, oh shoot. I don't have a catchphrase. But I think we can just all be grateful that I didn't start off this video singing, if you go down to the woods today. No, what is it? Into the deep wood? If you go into the deep wood today, you better be ready for a surprise. You know that teddy bear picnic song, the big rat picnic? Thankfully everyone's left by now and no one has to see how embarrassing that is for me. Oh, well, thanks for being here still. I'll see you in the next video.